I know I said I wouldn't be happy with a split against Tampa, but I am, and also not.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granado. Steve, what's going on?
Weird weekend, dude. Super weird weekend. We're going to get into it here in a second. Of course, today is Monday, which means we have Minors Monday coming up. We check in on the top performers in the Yankees minor league system coming up a little bit later. Of course, we also have a preview of tonight's starts against the Toronto Blue Jays. New series begins as the boys head north. But first, Stacey, are the Yankees the most confusing team in baseball? It's starting to feel that way. I can't get a read on this team.
Yeah, I know. It is kind of confusing, and it's confusing. It's just confusing watching them day in and day out, because either they're just completely terrible or they're not world beaters, but they're, you look at them and you think, oh, yeah, this team can do something.
I think that what it boils down to me is, of course, they lose Thursday, they win Friday, Saturday in dramatic fashion, and then they come up short on Sunday. They end up splitting the series against Tampa Bay. And we were talking about it before the series started. We're like, a split would be great. You win 3 of 4. I feel like that's not too far into the reach. But I think it's just the way these games went.
Yeah.
And I think what it really pointed out for this team, after Thursday, I said what was pointed out to me was that just the Rays are better. Just straight up, pound for pound, better team. But then they fight back. They did fight back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what it really pointed out to me, once we watched everything and we learned everything about this team, I think the number one problem for the Yankees is just consistency.
Yeah.
They are just, the only consistent thing about them is their inconsistencies.
Yes.
It's bizarre.
They're consistently inconsistent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, but it's strange to me.
It is strange. As I goofed in the cold open, I'm fine with the split, but also annoyed with the split, just with the way Sunday's game went. And we'll get into the individual games. But I am mostly happy about this because, as you said, after Thursday's game, you're thinking, oh, God, the Rays are just so much better than them. But Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday showed that the Yankees can go toe-to-toe with these guys. And you know what? I'm actually looking forward to the last 6 games between the Rays because I feel like the Yankees can stick it to them.
We'll see. I mean, Sunday felt like they could have won. They give up some. It's weird. Like I said, consistency. The most consistent thing about the Yankees this season has been their bullpen and Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah, Anthony Rizzo's.
But
we'll talk about that
even
later.
The bullpen this weekend. I just don't know how to feel about this team, because one day you feel like, wow, and then the next day you're like, wow. What?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Let's go ahead and start with this weekend, Stace. Let's start with Friday. Gerrit Cole's last couple of outings. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least it wasn't as bad as the previous outing against the Rays. I mean, that's the one thing you can say about it. He didn't give up 6 runs. That's good. He just couldn't. I don't know. He just didn't look. He couldn't get things going, he just is not pitching like he pitched for his first 5 or 6 starts. And I don't know if it's because it's the Rays. I don't know if he's falling into some sort of funk. We have to look for it the next time he pitches and see how he does. Maybe he's just like kind of in, not a hole, but he's kind of like in a downward trip here, and maybe he'll come back up. And I don't know, maybe the first month of the season isn't the Cole we're going to get for the whole season, but I'm hoping he returns to almost that same Cole, because it's Yankees, thank goodness they came back and won that game. But with the way the game was going, it looked like, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah, I mentioned the bullpen was a little shaky this weekend. Michael King was shaky as well in that game. But again, the other consistent part has been Anthony Rizzo. I mean, what an unsung hero, but the hero. And let's be frank, with the way Cole has pitched his last couple of outings, Anthony Rizzo is the best part of this team right now.
Yes. Yeah. And, I'm liking the Anthony Rizzo we're seeing who's batting over 400 in his last 2 weeks because he's just hitting the ball all over the place. And wouldn't you know it, on his bobblehead night, he hits 2 home runs and the one that turns into the game winner. Unbelievable.
Faced 6 home runs Friday night.
Yeah.
Rizzo twice, Volpe, Randy Arozarena, Josh Lowe, and Jose Siri.
Yeah. Crazy.
It didn't get much quieter on Saturday.
I know.
I mean, Yanks were trailing 6-0 in that game. Score 4 times in the 5th, 5 times in the 6th. Judge goes deep twice. Higgy goes deep. Just like the ball was flying out of the Bronx this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, it was warm, which is nice. Nice, warm spring weekend. Perfect baseball weather. Honestly, it's the kind of weather where you wanted to be outside all day. And yeah, the balls were going all over the place. It was kind of crazy to watch. Judge's second home run, the one that went into the second deck, that was just like, whoa, man. He's, it was funny before that game. I thought to myself, Judge needs to break out a little bit here. And he hit the first one and I thought, okay, maybe this will get him going. And then he hit the second one. I thought, all right, this is exactly what he needed because he hadn't home run. He hadn't hit a home run since April 18th. Of course, he had the injury, but he needed that to get going. And, we said how big it was for him to return to the lineup. And it's even bigger when he's hitting home runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. I mean, that's what he's there for. That's his paycheck right there.
Yep.
2-run shot for Higgy in that game. Stace, just to come back from a 6-run deficit, not only just in general, but to Tampa Bay. I mean, save how Sunday ended up going. I think that's the part where you're going okay, this is where I'm getting most confused. But I mean, that's where you see the resiliency that is actually in that lineup.
Yeah. And it's just funny with the way last Sunday's game went, with them scoring 6 runs against the Yankees after the Yankees were up 6-0, and then the Yankees do it to them on Saturday. And it was just like, oh, wow, look at this. It's just interesting how, aside from the Thursday game, all the games were 1 run, even the ones in Tropicana Field. So that shows you, yes, the Rays are better, but the Yankees are a lot closer than people think.
Yeah. It's so weird though. It's weird that you can't, it's hard to pull out that win though, right? That's the other thing is, in these 1-run ball games, you look back at the box score, you look at the play-by-play, and you just go, man, that had gone this way, had this gone this way. They're so tight, close ball games. It's really bizarre.
It's like how playoff games are, when you look at a playoff game and just one change, one play will change the complexion. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, Stacey, Friday and Saturday, Boone went to Wandy to close. Your reaction to Wandy in the closer spot there?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that he went out. I wasn't that surprised about Friday. But Saturday I was kind of like, again,
Yeah, back-to-back nights is interesting.
But I think it was because of Friday. He thought, okay, maybe he can do this again against this team. And he did. And, when Wandy's good, he's good. When he's on, it's really fun to watch him pitch. And, Jack Curry said it on the post game after Saturday's game that Boone hasn't said it, but it's pretty clear that it's closer by committee and that they're just going by how the game is going. And it's
almost
not like a set guy.
Last month.
Yeah. See?
Look, we're not right all the time. I'm just saying, but there are times where we are.
Yeah.
Just saying. Sunday, Stacey, I think there's a lot more to dissect here on Sunday. Of course, we're super stoked about the 6-run comeback, and had this been a Sunday episode, we'd be talking all about that. But since this being a Monday's episode, Sunday's game, an 8-7 loss. Your qualms with the 5th inning. Of course, Clark Schmidt ends up issuing a walk that is contestable, and was contested, as we saw. But the walk to then face Taylor Walls, they pull Schmidt, and Boone goes to Albert Abreu. Why are you upset with the thought to go to Albert Abreu?
I know that a lot of the bullpen guys were used, and I know that the Yankees don't have a break until next week, and I know that Boone is trying to save some of these guys, but I don't understand why he went to Albert Abreu when you had Marinaccio available. I kind of get the whole you don't want to bring him in too soon thing, but I almost didn't even want him to take Schmidt out because I feel like at most Schmidt would have maybe given up another single and they would have scored a run and not given. I don't see Clark Schmidt giving up a grand slam like Albert Abreu did. I didn't like the move when it happened, and I just I say it all the time. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't understand how someone who's been around baseball all this time makes so many bad decisions. It's just like so many of his decisions bite him in the butt. And as soon as that ball went in the air, I wanted to throw my TV remote against the wall because I saw something bad coming. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? But I will say this. I didn't think they were out of it because of the way they played the previous two games. And it was early enough where I thought, okay, keep them at 8 and maybe the Yankees can work their way back into it. But some of his decisions are, I feel like there are a lot of games that are Boone losses. This felt like a Boone loss to me. It really did, because the team is fighting and clawing against the Rays, and he does a dumb move like that. And it just makes it that much harder for them to fight and claw against them again. And that was just annoying to me.
Definitely weren't going to go to a lefty there. Taylor Walls is batting over 400 against lefties this season. To your point, Stacey, Taylor Walls had been 2 for 2 with a double against Albert Abreu already this season. So now 3 for 3 with a double, single, and a home run grand slam. So I don't know.
Almost a cycle.
Almost right there, just against him alone. So I'm going to go ahead and say the next time the Rays and Yankees face off, Albert Abreu will probably not be facing Taylor Walls.
I hope not.
I think that's fair enough.
I hope not.
Yeah. Lots of weird decisions, lots of things going on. Again, kind of a confusing weekend. Let us know how you're feeling about this in the comments. We do need to step aside here for a second. Of course, the Blue Jays series starts tonight. You can catch it all on SiriusXM 707, the first pitch Monday night, 4-game set on deck up in Toronto. Don't forget to be a part of our Friday shows. You can drop your questions down here on our YouTube channel. And of course, we will answer them on Friday. Again, Fan Mail Fridays, every Friday here on Locked On Yankees. Just like every Friday we have a segment, every Monday we have a very special segment. That's Miners Monday. We're going to detail some of the top performers this past week in the Yankee system when we come back.
For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know if the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
Back here on Locked On Yankees. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every Monday and every day. For the everydayers out there, coming up on Tuesday, we got to talk about Mariano Rivera, weirdly enough. You talked about Clay Holmes over the weekend, and we're going to dissect that a little bit on Tuesday's show. Of course, every Monday, Miners Monday. This Monday is no different. Let's go ahead and talk about the top performer, Stacey, in the Yankees system. Let's just go ahead and get this off the bat. So what is this, like our 5th Miners Monday?
Yeah.
3rd time talking about Andres Chapparo. He's just on a tear, man. In May, with the Rail Riders, hits in 13 of 15 games played. He had 14 RBIs in April across 24 games. Here in the month of May, he's played 9 less games. That's 15 games, and has driven in 13. This includes a monster day to open the week on Tuesday, where he picked up 5 hits, 3 singles, a ground rule double, and a grand slam. I mean, this guy is still, I can't imagine this is going to last very much longer, unranked in the Yankees system.
Yeah.
He is still technically an unranked prospect. He started really making waves towards the tail end of last season. And then obviously spring training. I know a lot of people were going like, who's this Chapparo kid?
Yeah.
And now it's just full-fledged. He started off super slow, adjusted really quickly. It was like something like 29 at bats, right? He was like, oh, for his first 29, and then just completely exploded thereafter. And he has not slowed down. It is really amazing to watch this meteoric rise. Andres Chapparo, again, unranked. He is not 40-man. Like, he is really coming out of nowhere. And I think there's going to come a point here. It's mid-May. If he finishes May like this, carries it into June, I think the Yankees are going to have to make a decision, right? Because at some point, you can't let that offense just wait in AAA all year. You just can't.
Yeah.
And if he continues on this trend, I can't imagine that he isn't with the Yankees at some point this year.
That could be exciting.
I didn't think I would be saying that. This is probably the most unsung guy in the organization now.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to ignore what he's doing right now.
And we were talking about it last week, like, oh, well, we know what we're going to talk about on Miners Monday.
Yeah, because we're just like, well, it was like the Wednesday show after the 5 for 5 night.
Yeah.
And we're going like, dude, like at what point do you go, all right, just give him a call and see what happens? I got to imagine at some point it's going to happen this season. Let us know if you'd call up Andres Chapparo right now. Obviously, you'd have to make a 40-man move, and I already know what it is. It's like if I know. We all know. But it is pretty bizarre to see how incredible his season has gone, especially after a slow start. Other quick note: Ben Rortvedt had a walk-off on Saturday, big 3-run shot. The Railroaders are trailing 6-3 entering the ninth. They made it 8-5 before Rortvedt hit a 3-run shot. Ended up winning 8-6 in that ball game. Ben Rortvedt update, by the way, he's 9 for his first 33 with a couple of homers, including that walk-off and 6 RBI in his first 9 games. So, remember he had the issues in spring training, got hurt, and had come back on most recently. So nice to see him swinging it well. Let's go ahead and switch shifts on over to pitching, Stace. Some big performances again. Let's go to the Hudson Valley first. Their starting pitching was on fire, just like Somerset's was the week prior. This time against the Aberdeen Rubber Ducks. Wednesday, Tyrone Yulee goes 5 innings plus a couple batters, 3 hits, 1 unearned run, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. Thursday, number 22 prospect Zach Messinger goes 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, only 1 earned, walks 2 and strikes out 7. Friday night, number 30 prospect Juan Corella, not his strongest outing, but did strike out 5 over 4 2/3. A little short on Friday night, but Saturday night, Chase Hampton backed it up. 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, both unearned, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. They're just striking out batters at an insane clip. We've talked a lot about the Somerset pitching staff, Stacey, but we shouldn't ignore the Hudson Valley pitching staff. Again, it bears repeating that with all the changes that happened on the pitching front in the Yankee system, it's been incredible to watch that they've been able to back it up again this season and spur out some really, really good talent. Again, it's amazing to see. So a lot of strikeouts for the Hudson Valley pitching staff. Weirdly enough, one quick note outside of the pitching staff, I guess battery mates. Antonio Gomez, unranked prospect, has caught 12 would-be base stealers in his last 18 games. That's 18 games behind the plate this season. 12 base runners. He threw out 3 on Thursday night. So something to watch there, Antonio Gomez. The Yankees will be thinking about their catching situation here. So Ben Rortvedt with a nice little start at AAA. Antonio Gomez at high A. Maybe the future a little bright here. Again, 12 base runners caught in 18 games ain't no joke. So good to see there. Let's go to AA Somerset. Tanner Myatt. This is one that you haven't heard of. Mm-mm. Tanner Myatt, Myatt, a right-handed pitcher on Thursday. This seems like an unassuming line, whatever, Stace. An inning and 2/3 of shutout baseball with a hit, a walk, and a strikeout. How about this? 11 relief appearances for Tanner Myatt this season. 10 scoreless appearances. Season ERA is 0.64. Yikes. It's hard to keep an eye on relief guys, especially not in the majors. I know this kind of gets in the weeds. That's why you're here, and that's why we're here for you, is so we can go, hey, look, Tanner Myatt, a guy you haven't heard of. 10 of 11 relief appearances have been scoreless. Another note here on the pitching staff in Somerset, Will Warren, another stupid outing. 6 scoreless innings on Thursday, gave up 4 hits, did walk 4, and only struck out 2 against Portland. 12 scoreless innings, his last 2 outings. Don't forget, Will Warren comes at you with a hot fastball, high 90s, 98. Added a sinker last year, changed his slider a little bit last season as well, a change in a curveball. So it's been working out great for Will Warren, number 7 in the system. And then one more quick note from Somerset. Caleb Durbin was called up this week from Hudson Valley, and in his Double-A debut, 3 stolen bases and 3 hits. Remember, Somerset runs like crazy. Last note here on the Yankee system this past week, Stacey. Tampa Bay, low A. Nelson Medina, an unranked 22-year-old Dominican outfielder, 9 for his last 19 in his last 6 games. So he's been heating up down there for the Tampa Tarpons. He has raised his on-base percentage over 40 points over those last 6 games. And this is really his first year in United States baseball. I don't really consider the complex league, it doesn't feel great. It's not real baseball. It's the complex league. It's not a full season, but this is his first year in full season ball. So nice to see Nelson Medina starting to make a little noise. He's a little bit older, 22, a little bit older for guys that are making their first year in Tampa, but I got to keep an eye out for, right? That's the whole point of this segment every week, guys to keep out an eye for. Andres Chapparo Mondays continue to live on.
Yeah.
I'm gushing over this guy. I know a lot of Yankees fans are starting to gush over this guy. Right now, it's just figuring out when and where to put him.
Now, the one thing I will say about Antonio Gomez is after he threw out the first 2 guys, why would the other team even attempt a 3rd stolen base?
Yeah, where are you going? Where are you going, man? Where are you going? Welcome to low A baseball.
Yeah.
Or high A baseball, sorry. Welcome to high A baseball. Anyway, let us know which prospects you're most excited about. Is it somebody that we talked about this week? Is it somebody that we missed? There's a lot of guys in the Yankee system. We're trying to keep up with all of them. So make sure to let us know which prospects you want to hear about in the comment section here on YouTube. While you're there, drop your questions for Fan Mail Friday. As always, we answer your questions on Friday shows. Don't forget the series starts tonight with Toronto. You can catch the whole thing on Sirius XM. Coming up next, we're going to preview that series against Toronto. Back here on Locked On Yankees, it's a new series, and everydayers out there know that means it's time for a new edition of Hot, Cold, and Heating Up. Who is hot, who is cold, and who is heating up on the Yankees? Stacey, let's start with who is hot.
Well, we mentioned it earlier, but basically the best player so far this season offensively, Anthony Rizzo. He's on fire.
On fire, and has been on fire. The most consistent part of this lineup.
Yeah. And, it's kind of funny. He had the back issues in spring training, and you're thinking, oh, no. Oh, God, here we go. And he's been fine. He's been fine. We talked about it in the first segment, Stacey. Who is cold?
Albert Abreu. Poor Albert Abreu. There were some moments in the game today that weren't bad. He had one strikeout that was pretty good, but just the inconsistency, like you said with the team, the inconsistency with him. It's like sometimes he can look really good when he throws certain pitches, and other pitches you think to yourself, why are you throwing that? Or why is the catcher even calling that? Like, what are you doing? So yeah, it's just, he's not looking great lately, and he really shouldn't, no offense to him. I feel like he shouldn't be trusted in that kind of a situation at this point right now. I think the only time I want to see Albert Abreu is during mop-up time, either if the Yankees are down by a few runs or if they're up by a few runs.
Yeah, last 3 outings, including Sundays, have been a little rough. The walks are up. He's missing more. So we'll see if he's able to clean that up here moving forward. Speaking of cleaning things up, who is heating up, Stacey?
Well, there are 2 people I want to talk about just quickly, and they're both very young. Oswaldo Cabrera is heating up, and Anthony Volpe he had a really good weekend. Other than the home runs, he manufactured that run on Saturday, getting on base and stealing second, stealing third, scoring on the wild pitch. He's just so much fun to watch. And Oswaldo is heating up, and I love watching these 2, and I want them to
obviously I want them to succeed, but it's fun watching them. I just like the injection of youth on the team with these grizzled veterans like Anthony Rizzo and at this point, Aaron Judge.
Yeah, sure. I think they're in two crucial spots too, and are very important pieces of this roster. You need Volpe at the top of the order to be hot. You need him to be consistently getting on base, and you really need Cabrera in the back end to be a jolt. Like those are two guys that are young but very important to the Yankees, especially if they're going to want to try and continue to find success here. They'll try and do that tonight, starting with the Toronto Blue Jays. Alek Manoah on the mound. He's had a bit of a rough season. Johnny Brito, we don't know. As this recording, there is no listed starter for Monday's game, Stacey. It's supposed to be Brito. What's going on?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. That's kind of strange because I figured he would just be listed. And, you and I were going through it before the show, trying to figure out moves that the Yankees could possibly make, if they could send anyone up to Canada to pitch. We were also talking about how it's probably not a bullpen game because the bullpen is depleted. So what are they doing and why wouldn't they list him? It's very strange.
I don't know. I have no idea if, one, this matters, two, if it exists. Vaccination status, I don't know. If I had to take a guess, I don't know if he is or isn't, / if that still exists when crossing the border.
Oh, I'm trying to remember if they lifted that.
I'm just spitballing here, just trying to figure out.
I think they did.
They would have to, they would have to make some sort of move here if they were going to call somebody up. Obviously, Brito could be optioned, no problem. But their 40-man options as far as starting is basically non-existent. You're not going to call up Randy Vasquez to make his MLB debut in game one. Why not just stay with Brito and save the option?
Right.
I don't know what's going on there. Kind of interesting. There's nothing to our knowledge that happened with Johnny Brito's last start or why it would be in jeopardy for Monday night. But just maybe it's all squared away and it is Brito, and maybe it's just an MLB typo. I don't know at this point. Tuesday, Domingo Germán versus Kevin Gausman. And then the Blue Jays have not listed their Wednesday and Thursday starters, but of course it's Cole and Nestor. What are your thoughts, your feelings going into the series against Toronto?
I'd like to have a word with the schedule maker. Who thought it was a good idea to play 4 against Tampa at home and then have to go straight to Toronto to play 4 against the Blue Jays? I want to have a talk with that person. With no break.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I feel better going into the series because of how they played against Tampa. It wasn't a completely successful weekend, but again, those 3 games on the weekend, they showed that they can go toe-to-toe with the best team in baseball, so we'll see how they do against the Blue Jays.
Just before we get out of here today, Stacey, I'm going to make good on not necessarily a promise, but a topic we had on Friday.
Okay.
Have you given up on the AL East?
No.
All right, there you go.
We certainly have not.
Has not given up on
Nope.
the AL East.
Mm-mm.
We'll leave you with that for today. Don't forget the series starts tonight, 7:07 from Toronto. SiriusXM is where you can catch all the action. You can also listen to Locked On Yankees there. Coming up on Tuesday's show, we're going to talk about Mariano Rivera and his comments about Clay Holmes and why maybe he's the closer of now and the future. It's coming up on tomorrow's show, so make sure you hit subscribe. That's going to do it for today. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We'll see you tomorrow.